You're gonna die alone.
Every time I leave a public bathroom, I shut the lights off for everyone. From a grammatically incorrect theme song to a town named after a natural disaster, Primos was one of the most controversial cartoons in recent memories. With so much outrage, Disney took down any mention of it on their social medias. Many thought this would go unreleased, but now 9 episodes are here on Disney Plus and are censored? I'll discuss what changes were made through the video, but one of the craziest was the cousin named Cuquita. You see, some, not all Spanish-speaking territories, Cuquita can be slang for a woman's private parts. So now Cuquita was changed to Lucita. Coward! Shh, inside voices. They kept Nacho's name intact, it'll be okay. Nacho, Ignacio. So much outrage, all for a cartoon that's about as ambitious as an episode of Buzz on Maggie. It's like if I joined a race war all because of Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. The only thing that was uncalled for was a Primos voice actress calling Spanish the language of colonizers. She said that in English. That sounds like something Kanye would say if he was Mexican. It's a good thing some Mexicans kinda look Asian, cause that was a real Kim Jong-oof. Primos is honestly among the most it's amusing cartoons ever. There's some real gold in there, but most of it I was just whatevs. Big City Green's a lot funnier. I didn't keep up with the show's drama because I generally don't care, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone out there made like 40 videos on this over nothing. Bro, stop uploading so many Primos rants. You're eating up the bandwidth on your short bus's Wi-Fi. Can you blame people for all the anger? Cartoons are serious shit. And I think I'll take a shit.
Hasta luego, Primos. Where's that pizza? No.
Sorry it's been a while, I was moving and working on my indie pilot, Loki IRL, coming soon. Go to LokiIRL.com. I got a few videos coming. Anyway, Primos is a Disney cartoon about Tater, a girl who's ready to enjoy summer, though like 50 different cousins or Primos all decided to stay over in her room. Hijinks ensue.
Come on folks, squeeze on in. I want to commemorate Summer of Primos.
But this is supposed to be the summer of me!
Yeah, it's gonna draw the comparison to the Loud House or the Casa Grandes, where it's a Brady bunch of families in one house. It's been a while since I've seen the Loud House, since the concept of somebody else owning the house has me violently envious beyond mercy. So Primos I accepted as its own thing without much comparison. While Lincoln Loud grew up and is mostly adjusted to such a big family, Tater has this issue thrown onto her, so that changes up the dynamic. A lot of the conflict comes down to her having to figure out how to share the household or find a new place to get privacy. Like this attic, which honestly looks so cozy. Well, about as cozy as you can get without the risk of falling into the fiberglass insulation. Drop a virgin in there and you'll be pleasing the gods.
Fatality.
Primos is different enough, though there's two characters that feel derivative. Both shows got the typical calculating smart girl and a whispery goth girl with some supernatural abilities. They're stock concepts, but with this premise, it's cutting it a little close. In terms of the occult, Lucy Loud is a poser. This right here is how someone who knows witchcraft would dress.
No!
Ooh, it's like a spider buried her egg sac in her face.
Who stays late to make sure the dissecting forceps are put away? And who thought of our group motto, keep calm and embalm?
Primos is a very average cartoon with occasionally a really funny gag here and there. Tater having to clean up the backyard only to get mutilated every turn was funny and chaotic. There are some slightly gross out jokes, but I found them kind of funny, especially when they are tied to one of the concepts of the show, thematically appropriate fart jokes. One of the standout episodes to me was when they make full use of its premise. You know how the main controversy came from the theme song? Oye Primos. Really, it's supposed to be Oigan Primos, though there's a bit of nuance to that. There's a ton of different Spanish cultures, but the show is focused on Chicanos, those living in America that are seen as not quite American, not quite Mexican to some people. That's an experience I lived. My parents are from Mexico while I was born in the most southern point of Texas. It pertains to me, so I'm not racist. I hate all Mexicans equally. Wait! Sorry, no Nintendo Español muy baño. Showing the intro to my parents who grew up in Tampico, they found no issue with the song. They said it's fine since it's children speaking in an informal way. Depending where you live, language evolves on the basis of, that ain't accurate, but I get what you're saying. Nugget, or Tater, whatever her name was, barely knows Spanish at all. They included lines to remind you of that. According to an early episode leak, that claim wasn't there before, so they had to hammer it in for the audience.
Solo tengo pesadillas.
You know I don't speak Spanish.
Ay, girla, nightmares.
This inexperience with the language leads to the best episode, Summer of No Sabo.
Besides, you all speak so much Spanish every day, I'm picking it up naturally. See? Yo sabo el todo el español. My ears! She's a no sabo kid!
Oh, God. It's too relatable. It hurts. The rest of the episode is a freaking Saw parody where they force her to learn the language? What? A lot of the outrage claims this show didn't represent the Latin or Hispanic experience, but depending what part of the world you're from, that's gonna be different. Back when the series was first announced, only the intro was released. People assumed this took place in Mexico, especially due to the orange tinting. That color scheme is a cliche for a lot of media to represent Mexico as a desert. Shows like Breaking Bad are very guilty of this.
Summer of los Pollos Hermanos.
But after the outrage, Disney added a sign really hammering in that this is America.
Yo, that ain't America! You're not showing any of the good stuff! Film a nice neighborhood next time.
Specifically, they're close to LA, which is also seen as orange and hazy in a lot of movies. With a few episodes leaked early, we saw some weird changes.
Well, you're dreaming too big. By even dreaming at all. Exactly. Tater, we live in Los Angeles, and while most people think that's where dreams come true, I mean, do you know where you live?
Killer bees!
Did you get this was LA yet?
This is crack.
The Primos house is in a neighborhood called Terremoto, which means earthquake. There's even a few quakes in the episode, a common thing in the San Andreas fault lines. Unfortunately, Mexico has had a ton of deadly quakes and felt this show with a Latin audience in mind came off as insulting. Commenters online compared this to calling a town 9/11'sburg, Hurricane Katrinasville, and Your Kid's Karate Recital Avenue. Because of this, Disney made some changes. In a future trailer, they added a sign pointing to LA to show it's America, not Mexico. While in the final release, the town was renamed to Hacienda Hills, meaning ranch or land property. They named a city after my local Ford dealer. Throughout the episode, there were a few town signs visible. These told you they were in Terremoto, as in earthquake, but they removed that. Didn't even replace them. Who wants to redraw all those letters anyway? Me? Nah. You, with your handwriting, get your ass back to Sylvan, boy.
Can I have that one, please?
Tater, ask in español.
Puedo to have el churro?
Population-wise, the characters in Primos hit me with the feeling of, I've met these people, a type of human who in media I've seen here and almost nowhere else, if at all. Like the cousin Nachito here, that hairline and metal tooth, it's just so specific, like I went to school with many of these kids. The cartoon taps into my experiences at times, but most of it is a broad comedy. It's the typical Disney Channel humor you see in Gravity Falls or Big City Greens, though a bit inconsistent. Like, it's a fairly grounded show with some over-the-top stuff, but a few moments like this roided-up humanoid chicken feel completely out of place for some reason. Like, one of the few humanoid animals in this thing. Kinda odd. Is that just me?
Jean-Claude Van Fry, survivor of the deep fryer.
I get the feeling they were experimenting with how cartoonish they wanted it to be. So maybe they're just figuring themselves out. Better luck in season 2?
Phew, what a day. Glad to be home for some peace, quiet, and sanity. Avast ye, landlubber!
Now, a name I was surprised to find in the credits was Jim Lang. He composed many of the songs to my favorite Nickelodeon cartoon, Hey Arnold. Like, it's straight up his sound cues from back then. I do wonder if there was a deeper influence to that, like Hey Arnold was a down-to-earth show about kids in the city, yet you had some emotional episodes. Primos dips its toes into some cute moments with the family, but nothing too dramatic yet. As Arnold went on, it kind of built up to some wild lore about Arnold's missing parents becoming jungle explorers rescuing natives from a virus. It got a bit weird and would be full of fan theories had it come out now. There is some one-off gag with their uncle that had me questioning if that was more than just a gag, or will this build up to a story? We'll have to wait and see, assuming anyone cares by then. If it does, I'd probably be hyping the show up. So most of Jim Lang's score sounds very culturally vanilla here. Like there's no Mexican sound to it. It could have been the score to the Whitey McMayo Family Next Door. Talking to my tsundere friend who grew up in Mexico, she felt this was a good choice as she explained an issue Mexicans have about Chicanos. They feel Chicanos overcompensate to tell you they're Latino. That means falling into stereotypes. I can see that, but you know, maybe they just like stuff that happens to fall into stereotypes. Should I be ashamed for collecting over 200 homies figures? I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, the score is vanilla, and many of the episodes could be told with any race. I feel that's a good balance for representation. Just because a character is of a specific race doesn't mean every episode and every element needs to be about that. Characters can just exist regardless of the race. So for commercials, Disney Channel has these chibi shorts with no dialogue of their IPs. Of course they made one for Primos, but here's the weird thing. The music is way more Latin sounding than the actual show. Maybe they were guessing how the real show was gonna sound like, or maybe Primos was gonna sound like this and they changed mid-development. A short commercial like this was likely completed way earlier than the episodes themselves. And again with the leaks, they removed La Cucaracha from a car horn in one scene. I guess that's too offensive now. I thought everyone loved it.
Arnold is going to use his imagination, and he's beginning to imagine now.
As for another Hey Arnold reference, do you remember how Hey Arnold started as some claymation shorts on Sesame Street? Well, creator Craig Bartlett returns for some stop-motion animation in Primos.
Act 2, I make a plan for my future final form. Then Act 3.
And that's all they got him for. I could have done that. Put me in, coach. Maybe he'll do more clay stuff later on.
I could be a star or a great athlete.
You're forgetting who you are, you got 2 left feet.
You'll see. All I need is me, big dreams, and I'll make them true.
Keep dreaming, sis.
Beyond the score, there are musical sections that are fine. You know, I wouldn't listen to these. I'm sure if I was 10 and wasn't poisoned by video game OSTs and chipmunk remixes, I'd like these. It'd be all the rage on Radio Disney if that's still a thing. Well, apparently no, it's not still a thing, yet the mouse still has a Radio Disney section on their website. All it is the logo. Like, you can't click on anything, it's a symbol and a black void. Assuming this is purgatory, I'm committing way more sins.
Maybe being chased by bees is that guy's dream. You don't know. There's nothing wrong with our town. Pothole.
From the first announcement, I wasn't too impressed with the art. It just looks derivative of the era, though a few subtle things I appreciate. The rougher outlines on the characters, and the backgrounds are so cluttered in a good way. Like, the whole point is this girl has to share a house with so many cousins. All the sleeping bags on the floor of her room, the scribbles on the walls, the junk in the yard with the soda someone left behind. I can feel how empty and warm that can is gonna weigh. This place sucks ass. I don't want to live here. It's perfect for the show. As for the town, they cut out this shot showing how crappy the place is.
And yeah, the summers kind of stink.
Not kinda. Literally. Between all the freeways and the factories and the dumps.
But this summer is gonna be different.
I thought this was removed because of what looks like a border wall in the shot. Is that a border wall? How close is LA to Mexico? My only frame of reference is this movie poster of Born in East LA. Does anyone know if this is geographically accurate?
Give this man a rubber tortilla.
I can't even speak Spanish.
In 2 weeks' time, you're gonna have enough money. I mean, if you work overtime.
Passports, green cards.
Oh, looks like Cheech Marin does a voice here too, as their Theo. Of course, he's here. Where's Danny Trejo and where's George Lopez? They haven't shown up yet. So yeah, I thought this was the border wall. Even the leaked pitch Bible mentions a wall. Could just be a regular fence. In another shot, they kept that wall and only removed the factory and junkyard. I guess they didn't want them to look too poor. I'd love to hear the behind-the-scenes info someday on what more was altered.
Ah, paradise. Go! All right, everyone here, you're crossing illegally!
Oh yeah, the leaks. So, tangent. Recently a ton of Disney stuff dropped. Various pilots and pitch bibles, stuff like Very Important House, co-created by Jonan Vasquez of Invader Zim. It's pretty much the precursor to Smiling Friends, where this kid's gotta help people be happy. Because of the Zim DNA, it is for kids, but it does push things. I wonder if that affected the plot status.
Hey, cool friend. High five. Hey-o. Oh, look who has a bone arm now. Cool, man. Thanks.
The best of the leaked pilots was Shred Force, co-created by Matt Mailer of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This had 2 kids entrusted by rock gods to save the world, using licensed music by Dragon Force and all this animation. This was way too expensive for Disney to ever pick up. It has some real Motor City vibes.
Just follow my lead and watch how we don't level the city. Shred Force!
I'll get into more detail about those pilots some other day, but back to Primos. It's Pitch Bible leaked showing early rough designs and... Oh, look at her. Just look at my talented child. She could be a voice actress. Or a cartoon reviewer who doesn't show her face. The fucking face, oh my god. Honestly, refine these a bit and you could do something more in line with the Wild Thornberries and other Klasky Chupo stuff. Which, there was kind of something like that. Immigrants, La Dulce Vida, The Sweet Life. I've had this DVD on my damn shelf for a decade and I've never actually watched it nor know anything about it. These doodles remind me of characters you'd find in an educational kids book teaching kids about times tables or something. Ugly, but so much more interesting to me than the gentrified Disney TV style. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Gremlin Girls Coke binge here. Get that whitener off your teeth, girl.
This is crack.
Hey, let me read you her bio. No one really knows which family Mija belongs to. She simply shows up each summer and leaves in the fall. Wow, the Waluigi of neglected children. Whose kid is this? We don't know, just keep her away from the electrical sockets.
Me, a lump of clay. Me, searching for my true self. But soon, I will achieve my final form!
So, you may ask, what is the character's motivation? Well, I forgot to mention Tater's overall goal is to discover her final form. Like what she wants to be when she grows up. It's kinda representative by these imagination notebook doodle scribbles. She's got this Goku-looking thing going on. I never felt this really connected much to the premise. Sure, the family stays over and helps her discover herself, but I think it's just kind of like a generic motive. Maybe later eps can make better use of it. Though I feel like it was like a mandatory thing where it's like, hey, we need to come up with something, you know? It just feels very, this was the first idea we came up with.
That's not theirs! Ooh, your first review! Uh-oh. 1 star? Horrible service?
Primos! Everyone was mad, and then you watch it and it's like, fine. It's got some standout moments, but it's kind of the samey Disney TV cartoon with the humor they've been doing since Gravity Falls, but not as good. It ain't no Mucha Lucha. It ain't even Chico and Guapo.
Guapo Martinez and Chico and Stella been best friends since they was 5. Now they're working on at a music studio for the boys in the